This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and this is the Apple Watch Series 8. Why do I stick with the Apple Watch? Because they make so many bands it's possible to match any t-shirt that I'm wearing. No, seriously. I'll talk about what makes the Apple Watch good, in part just the fact that pretty much nobody wants to compete in iOS land for smartwatches. But the Series 8, as you no doubt know already, doesn't have a whole lot new compared to the Series 7. You could say that about the Series 7 going to the Series 6. This is a theme for 2022. I think in part it's due to COVID and the engineering that happens 2 or 3 years ahead of or behind the times, really, by the time you get the product, mean that things are developing a little more slowly right now. Because even with Samsung's Galaxy Watch Active 5 that I reviewed, that wasn't much different from the 4 either. But what does that mean for those of you who have a couple of generation old watch? That's where it gets more interesting. We're going to look at it now. So the Series 8 watch adds 2 features, temperature sensing and crash detection. So if you're in a car crash, big time crash, like I said in my iPhone review, this isn't like you walk into a wall, whoopsie, that kind of thump. It means serious car crash. It will automatically offer to call 911 unless you stop it before it does such a thing. It's nice to have, and Apple's keynote for these products kind of made it seem like the watch was saving us from every possible disease and calamity, so it was almost like the Paranoid show, right? But okay, nobody's going to say no, and nobody's actually going to test this outside of Apple either, are they? Temperature sensor is for the women out there, and of course men should care about these things too because they have the women in their lives, and it's about fertility tracking, the difference overnight, night after night in your menstrual cycle to get the idea when you'll be most likely to be fertile. That's what that's for. You have to wear the watch at night for 5 nights straight for it to set a baseline before you can start using that. And guys, you can't really do much of anything with it. Sorry. So the design is the same as last year. This time the colors are Starlight, which is what we have. It's kind of a champagne-y color, I guess you'd say. There's the product red one. There is the black and the silver. And as ever, the seasonal collection of bands to go with those. The prices are the same, at least in the United States, same as last year. So starts at $399 for the aluminum GPS only, which is Apple speak for the one that has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth for communicating with your watch, versus the one that also adds in cellular. So if you go with the stainless steel model, that does include cellular, and that one is $699 starting price for the 41 millimeter, just like last gen, 41 and 45 millimeter. I have always worn the 41 millimeter. I have fairly small, but not tiny wrists. I mean, I'm 5'10". I can't be that small, but to give you an idea for those of you who do use Apple Watches, I'm a size 5. If they made a 4.5, I'd really be a 4.5, but I go with the size 5 for the solo loop. And my wrist is about 153 millimeters or just under 6 inches. So this year I switched to the 45 millimeter instead of using the 41. I think I can pull it off. Big watches are in, all that sort of thing. I'm going to be reviewing the Apple Watch Ultra, which is 49 millimeters and even thicker, and we'll see how that looks on my wrist. I mean, you know, it's up to you what you're comfortable with. Literally, I might not be comfortable though, because I have bony wrists and I do have an actual fear of breaking my ulnar bone here if the watch gets slammed into me, so I try not to go too huge with the metal thing. Anyway, an interesting to know thing is, you know, I didn't want to switch from a 41 to a 45 because I have this collection of 41 millimeter bands. Well, they actually do fit snap-on securely, and the bandwidth is actually about the same. It's just the lug where it mounts to the watch is narrower, so you'll have a little gap, which probably only you'll ever notice, but it is a place where dead skin cells and dirt and stuff can get in there, so I leave it up to you. But it is possible to go ahead and use your small bands on the bigger watch. So those of you who are curious about that. Now, for those of you who are hoping for something like titanium or ceramic, there is no such option for the Apple Watch Series 8. But if you go up to the Ultra, then it is titanium. So that's where your super premium finish went. And of course, there's the Hermes. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I'm so not the target audience for very expensive fashion stuff. But anyway, Hermes is still an option that's available to you as well. Now, the Apple Watch SE is still an option as well. So you're saving a couple $100 there. So what are you saving there? What are you losing when you're saving? You have bigger bezels. It's like the older school design. Okay, maybe you can live with that. You lose the always-on display, which to me is kind of, that hurts. There's no ECG on that either. If you're less health conscious and self-monitoring, you might be okay with it. And personally, I would lean more towards the Series 8 if you can afford it. The extra features are nice, and particularly the always-on display. It's kind of annoying to go back to the dark ages when your watch was just black, unless you raised it up and did this to look at it. So beside the fact that when it comes to smartwatches for iOS, I'm not talking about fitness watches and all that sort of thing, which in some cases can compete actually with the Apple Watch Ultra category for the high-end ones, or things like the more affordable Fitbits on the low end. But for true smartwatches, nobody's even trying to compete. This is a very mature product. It is a sticky product. I often say I like the watch, or feel more glued to the watch than I do to my phone, because it lets me ignore my phone. I don't need it anymore, and I know if there's a notification that there's something important I need to care about, or the myriad ones you get that you don't really care about. Also, if I want to go out for a walk and I don't want that big plank of a phone in my pocket, I can do that. For those of you who are new to this, even if you don't get the cellular model, although cellular is nice if you do want to, say, go out for a run without your phone, longer distance, but if you're just leaving it about the house, like a lot of us do, lose your phone all the time, whatever, but you always have your watch on, it communicates via Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. So even if you're out of Bluetooth range, it'll use Wi-Fi to stay connected, so you'll still get your notifications, and in fact you can use this as a hands-free way of making phone calls. Speaker, microphone, that whole thing. So that's nice, and it's a good product. You've got blood oxygen sensor, you've got your heart rate monitor, you've got just about everything you can ask for, plus great notification system, very bright display that's easy to see outdoors, GPS turn-by-turn directions, complete with a little doot-doot versus doot-doot, to tell you left versus right turn, and all that sort of stuff. It's a good product. But where Apple does have to worry is about those who are platform switchers, who go back and forth. So it used to be Android Wear was terrible, let's face it. And Samsung's Tizen watches were getting there. But now that Samsung and Google have teamed up for the latest version of Wear OS, and Samsung Galaxy watches are becoming more mature products, they're getting closer to everything that this does, including making and receiving calls, even if you don't have the cellular model, very good notifications, similar sleep tracking and fitness, activity monitoring, all that sort of thing. So I think Apple needs to pick up their game more than just with the Apple Watch Ultra, which is a $799 watch, because they're not going to stop people from jumping ship if the other platform has a pretty great watch too. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more cool tech videos, and thumbs up if you like this vid.